Welcome to this video where I discuss how to keep app settings out of GitHub. It seems that when you add a project to GitHub from Visual Studio 2022, there is no simple way of excluding files from the initial commit. For example, it doesn't appear to be possible to edit gitignore to exclude appsettings.json and appsettings.Development.json until after the repository has been created and pushed for the first time. For me, prevention is better than cure, and I'll show a way that I think this can be accomplished relatively simply. However, if you failed to prevent app settings getting into GitHub, I will be able to show a simple way to fix the problem. So let's have a look at the problem and how to fix it. I've created a simple application here. It's a basic Blazor web app, and we've got appsettings.json and appsettings.Development.json, but I haven't committed it to GitHub yet. To me, the simplest thing to do is to open appsettings.json and see if there's anything in there that we need to retain. If so, copy it to Notepad. Now delete both appsettings.json and appsettings.Development.json by right-clicking and selecting delete. That will delete both app settings and the appsettings.Development. We're now going to create a Git repository, and we go to the top here, select Git, create a Git repository, and I'm going to leave all these as defaults. If that Visual Studio default doesn't appear for the .gitignore file, select it from the drop-down list. Then I'm going to create and push. So it's created it, or is in the process of creating it, and this will create a Git repository locally and in GitHub. It will also add .gitignore and .git attributes file here in Solution Explorer. Open gitignore and go down to the end of the file, and we're going to add some code to tell it to ignore appsettings.json and appsettings.Development.json. We now need to add back appsettings.json and appsettings.Development.json. So select the project, right-click, select Add, New Item, and scroll down here till we come to App Settings. It'll automatically fill in the name appsettings.json and select Add. We now need to add appsettings.Development, so right-click on the project name, select Add again, New Item, and now just change the name of the file, and that will put it in the right place. If necessary, copy back any code that we originally copied to Notepad. Before we go any further, we'll just have a quick look at GitHub to have a look at what we've got there now. So I'm going to go to my repository, and I'm just going to refresh the page. And we've now got my new Blazor app here. If I open that, we should see that we've got gitignore, git attributes, but we don't have appsettings.json. And if we look under components, under pages, we've got home, and that just says welcome to our new app. Back in Visual Studio, just to show that we are going to have some effect here, I'm going to select pages, the home page, and I'm just going to say, change this to welcome to your new app settings app. I'm going to save all the files, and now we're going to commit and push them to GitHub. So down here in the bottom right, we've got a little pencil icon. Click on that, and we've got to put a message in here so I can enter a description such as added appsettings to dot. And we select commit all, and that's been created locally. And now we need to push it to GitHub by selecting push. And we get a message down here saying it started. And if we go back to GitHub, and I'll go to refresh the page again, we'll see that we've now got our new app setting app in the home.razor, but we still don't have app settings. So this method has prevented us from adding app settings to GitHub. We'll now have a look at how to remove appsettings.json from GitHub if it has been accidentally uploaded. To set the scene, I've created a new Blazor app called Blazor app-02, and this time I've added a connection string to appsettings.json. I'm now going to create a GitHub repository as we did before. So it's creating it, and we've got the gitignore file here. I'll just open the GitHub repository and show that app settings is present. If we can raise that app 2, we've got the gitignore, but we've also got app settings. And if we look at that file, we'll see we've got the database. So if we go back to our Blazor application, we'll edit gitignore as we did last time. So the appsettings.json and appsettings.Development.json should be ignored. I'm now going to just update appsettings.json to remove the connection string. I'm going to save all the files, and I'm going to commit and push. So commit and push. And if we look in GitHub again, well, if we look at gitignore, we've got appsettings.json and appsettings.Development.json there. But if we look in app settings, we'll see that's disappeared. So it appears that appsettings.json isn't being ignored, it's being updated. And the problem is that although we've now got it so that we haven't got the connection string in there, if we dig deeper, we would find it. So if we look in this, which is the most recent update, we can see in here that we have still got lurking around in GitHub our original connection string. So how do we correct this problem? Well, we go back to, I'll say Visual Studio. We aren't actually going to go back to Visual Studio at this moment. What we're going to do is open git bash. I'll put a link into where this can be downloaded, but if you're using GitHub, you'll probably know all about it anyway. I'll just increase the size of the window. In fact, I'll maximize it. And I'll try and increase the size of the font. And we need to change to the directory with our source code in. To make life easier for myself, I've got this in Notepad. And to paste in git bash is right-click, paste. So you'll see we're changing directory into C, users, Chris, source, repos, and then Blazor app 2. Notice that the slashes are not the normal windows, but the opposite. So I'm now in that location. Now the next command we want is this. It's git rm -r -- cached space dot, and that dot at the end is important. So that shows us the caches that it's removed. I'm just going to write clear to clear the screen again. And now we want to enter these commands. Again, notice the dot at the end. And lastly, and we can see that it's deleted appsettings.json and appsettings.Development.json. So now we can return to Visual Studio. If I close this, close the Git one, we'll see that git ignore is there, but so is appsettings.json. So what we need to do now is now commit and push to GitHub again. I'm just going to make a change to the home page. And save everything. Commit and push. So let's have a look. So we can see here we've no longer got appsettings.json. Under components and pages, we've got home with that change that I've just made. And if we can also see that we do not have appsettings.json here. And if I go to change to home, you'll see that we've got no remnants of appsettings.json there at all. So, problem solved. We've got rid of appsettings.json. We aren't going to let any of our secrets leak out of GitHub. That's it for this video. I hope you found it useful. I'll put a link in the description to the web address where you can download Git or Git Bash, and I'll also put a link in there to a blog post where I've described this in detail. Thank you very much for watching.